Hi, I'm Jeanette Roche. This is Bridge City News. Here's a look at some of the stories we have lined up for you tonight. It's election day in Alberta, but voters will be waiting a little longer for results. Plus, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre tells the Prime Minister what Canadians need to see in the upcoming budget. And feeding peanuts to babies to prevent allergies has proven hugely successful a decade later.
Your nation, your province, your southern Alberta. From the heart of Lethbridge, it's Bridge City News with Jeanette Roche.
Thanks so much for joining us. It is now election day for all Alberta municipalities, with polls set to close at 8 p.m. This election will be different from previous elections because ballots are being counted by hand, meaning we'll be waiting for the results. BCN's Landon Hickok reports.
Polls are still open across Lethbridge at the Lethbridge Training Convention Center, Cor Van Ray YMCA, and the Trinity Reformed Church until 8 p.m. tonight. 4 candidates are running for the title of Lethbridge Mayor, while 18 more are running for a spot at Lethbridge City Council.
Well, I think it's our responsibility, so I don't know all the information. I tried the best I could, Googling the platform and the names, and I'll go from there.
Well, I think any election is important. It's your opportunity to get out and have your voice heard. If you don't go out and vote, you don't have a say in what's going on in your community. I think it's really important. There's a lot of issues that people are concerned about, and it might be time for a change with City Council.
2 candidates that are running for City Councilor, Al Bieber and Tom Rolston, each have local reporting experience going into this election. With each covering numerous local elections in the past and people in their same positions, they both describe their latest experiences as surprising and eye-opening.
Coming into this as someone who'd worked in news media, you understand what the key issues were for the past council and even previous councils. I think the other skill set that I've really tried to drive home over the last 3.5 weeks too is, as a journalist, it's incumbent upon me, or was in that profession, to always listen to all sides. I'm still possessing the skills. I want to listen first. I want to understand all the different perspectives. I want to take into account, all the different voices on any issue. The only difference is, instead of telling a story, I would be the one to put my hand up in support or against something.
I didn't know what to expect, and I purposely went in there without really consulting anybody. I just wanted to forge my own path and do my own thing. And because I'm a reporter, you have such a well-rounded knowledge of the city. And, covering City Hall, I got to know every department in there. You see these people at council meetings, and you see them in the foyer when council's behind closed doors. And I really got to know the know-hows of council.
The city of Lethbridge reports that since advanced polling opened on October the 8th, 9,213 people casted their ballots, representing 10.4% of the total eligible voters in the city at 88,647. Similar to advanced voting in 2021, where 9,803 votes were counted before the final day.
It just seemed that people aren't that engaged this time around. And I'm seeing that, being a candidate for the first time, I'm seeing that as well in the discussions we've had with the forums, the meet and greets. And even on social media, you'll see people asking, where can I find the candidates, platforms, et cetera, et cetera.
Due to the province's Bill 20 updates, there were no electronic tabulators available for voting, meaning all votes must be counted by hand. The city says this means results shouldn't be expected this evening as a result. A hand count has not been done in the city of Lethbridge since 1989. The city says they will reveal real-time results on the city's website and all their social media platforms.
A top concern in Lethbridge today was not crime, taxes, or infrastructure, but rather the length of lines to vote and a lack of voting stations. After casting his votes, Naveen Day walked outside the Lethbridge Trade and Convention Center and heard some mixed reviews.
So how long did you stand in line for before you had to give up?
And because I have to go to work.
Stand in the line that long?
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. So we'll just come back later.
The line looked long, and it was scary when I first came in. I thought, oh, this is going to be a long line, but I would say 10 to 12 minutes.
How long do you think you stood in line for?
Oh, probably a half hour.
Half an hour?
More.
Whoever thought of this system should be shot with a ball of their own.
I said you can add to what I said before. I'm just also proud that they all came out to vote. Well, as I said, mine was only 10 to 12 minutes, and we had fun and laughs talking in line.
And as results eventually are made public, BCN will provide you with the results in our city. You can follow our X account at Bridge City News for real-time updates and keep in touch with our daily newscasts at 5 p.m. Mountain Time throughout this week for the full picture. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre is demanding the federal deficit be kept under $42 billion, but it's unlikely the Tories' deficit command will be met. Poilievre listed his party's demands for the fall federal budget in a letter to Prime Minister Carney. Carney has already signaled that he expects the deficit to grow due to higher defense spending, and the parliamentary budget officer has predicted the figure could be as high as $70 billion. During question period Monday, Poilievre also took the government to task over the recent decision by automaker Stellantis to move its production plant to the United States from Brampton, Ontario, putting 3,000 Canadians out of work. Poilievre wanted to know if any job guarantees were part of the $15 billion Stellantis received from Ottawa a couple of years ago.
So will she tell us, yes or no, does every Canadian Stellantis worker have a job guarantee?
The Honourable Minister of Industry.
Mr. Speaker, when this government negotiates contracts, they're good ones. And so my colleague will have the chance to see these contracts. That being said, we will make sure to put full pressure on the company. These jobs need to stay in Brampton. These jobs need to stay in Canada. And ultimately, the future of the auto sector is bright, and we'll continue to fight for it.
Bravo.
Poilievre is calling on the federal government to publicly release its contracts with Stellantis. The Liberal government says new anti-fraud measures are coming with next month's federal budget. Finance Minister François-Philippe Champagne announced today a plan to direct banks to bring in new policies and procedures to detect and prevent fraud.
Just to give you a sense of perspective, financial scams costed Canadians $643 million in 2024. And we have seen a large increase since 2020. Financial crimes, which is much broader, run into the tens of billions every year in Canada, and we must take bold action to stop that. The government will also work with stakeholders and banks to develop a code of conduct for the prevention of economic abuse. Economic abuse occurs when individuals access to money and financial independence is controlled or exploited, undermining their autonomy. The intent of the code is to ensure that bank positions themselves well to identify, prevent, and respond to economic abuse.
The Liberals promise such an agency in their 2021 election campaign platform. New research shows the spread of artificial intelligence is eating into the availability of entry-level jobs. Hamoun Ekhtiari, CEO of Future Fit AI, and Jacqueline Silver, a recent university graduate, say the number of these types of jobs is shrinking.
Traditionally, there was a promise, right? Go to school for 4 years, you'll have a 40-year career. That promise no longer holds, especially more junior software development and tech jobs are exposed because of what some of the coding tools are able to do. Customer service is another major category when you look at the economy more widely. And then whenever you're dealing with more pure content generation or predictable workflows that can be completed digitally, so early level sales jobs, entry level sales and marketing jobs are also another category that are high exposure.
I graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science. So throughout my university experience, everyone kind of told me that with my degree, it would be a guaranteed job. So I kind of believed that throughout my entire degree and thought that it would be easy money once I graduated. But that did not end up being the case. I was really exhausted, and it was also just really discouraging. It was basically like I was enrolled in a whole separate class because I would go to the library and do my homework for each class, and then spend an equal amount of time just applying for jobs and working on cover letters and stuff.
A recent Stanford University academic paper found that early career workers aged 22 to 25 in the most AI-exposed occupations have experienced a decline in employment, while employment for experienced workers in those in less exposed fields has remained stable or continued to grow. CBC Radio Canada has launched a fight in federal court to keep GEM subscriber numbers confidential. The Information Commissioner ordered CBC to make available the number of paid subscribers to its GEM streaming service following an access to information request for the data. The head of the public broadcaster says the subscriber numbers are sensitive to commercial information. CBC wants the courts to provide clarity on the issue. Today marks the 15th day of the Alberta teachers' strike, and concerns continue to grow about when students will be able to return to class and how their academic progress will be affected. The Government of Alberta recently announced the 2025 November diploma exam will be optional for students and will not affect the students' ability to apply to, be accepted by, or attend post-secondary institutions after graduation. The release also says students can still complete their courses and graduate on time. Their final grade will be based entirely on the school-awarded mark provided by their teacher. For its part, the Alberta Teachers Association states to BCN, "We're hearing from teachers on both ends of the spectrum. Some remain resolute in their decision to strike, while others are ready to return to their classrooms. Strikes impact individuals differently, and this is equally true for students. So far, there has been limited feedback from teachers regarding the November diploma exams being optional." Lethbridge police are asking for the public's help as they investigate an attack that happened last Tuesday at Galt Gardens. Police are giving very few details, only that a woman was attacked around midnight. She was helped by two bystanders who intervened. Police are asking anyone who may have witnessed the incident or assisted the female victim or have video footage to call police or call Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-TIPS. That is 1-800-222-8477. 2 people are dead after a cargo plane skidded off a Hong Kong runway into the sea when landing early Monday. The flight arriving from Dubai was landing at Hong Kong International Airport when it crashed through the airport fence and collided with a patrol car outside the runway, pushing the car into the South China Sea. The 2 security staff in the car died from the incident. The plane's body broke in half after it veered into the sea. All 4 crew members aboard the plane were rescued and taken to hospital. The more than 30-year-old Boeing 747 was converted into a freighter from a passenger plane. There was no cargo on board. The world's most visited museum was robbed on Sunday. Thieves stole priceless jewelry from the Louvre in Paris in an audacious 7-minute raid that took place just after the museum opened.
The theft happened in the Apollon Gallery, where the French crown jewels are displayed. The stolen jewels include a crown and brooch worn by Empress Eugenie, and a crown worn by Queen Marie Amélie. Other items include a sapphire necklace and earrings worn by Queen Marie Amélie and Queen Hortense, and an emerald necklace and earrings of Empress Marie-Louise. The heist is a fresh embarrassment for a museum already under scrutiny, and it has sparked political debate in France.
Pour avoir été mise à l'intérieur, je sais qu'on ne peut pas faire non plus la sécurisation totale de tous les lieux. Mais ce qui est sûr, c'est que nous avons failli.
The Louvre said it would remain closed on Monday.
4 perpetrators appeared to have been involved in the theft. They apparently threatened guards with angle grinders, which are used to cut metal. Environmental consciousness has come to the funeral industry. A Toronto area funeral home is offering fully biodegradable coffins and urns made of mushroom roots and hemp fibers. The Mount Pleasant group says the decision was made in response to consumer demand for environmentally friendly and sustainable funeral products.
These products, the urn and the living cocoon or the coffin, are made from mushroom-grown products, specifically mycelium, which is the root product of mushrooms, which are the Earth's natural recyclers, blended together with agricultural waste and placed in a mold. And over 7 days, you have a solid structure that becomes what you're looking at right now, which is the urn and the coffin. It's a fairly quick process because of mycelium and the mushroom. They biodegrade very quickly, over 45 days. And the beautiful thing about what's happening while they're biodegrading in the ground is they're returning nutrients to the soil. We launched natural burial sites at 2 of our locations in 2012, and there has been a response to that. There are people who choose that option and who want that option. When you come to a natural burial site at one of our locations, you'll see beautiful overgrown wildflowers that are left to grow. You'll see natural pathways. You'll see native grasses as well. There is memorialization just off beside the area that shows people's names when they were born and died, like you might find on an individual monument, so families can come to that section and know that their loved ones are there. But it reflects, again, the sustainable and eco-friendly choices of the family or the person who made the choice to be buried there.
While these cocoons might be a new idea, eco-friendly burials have been around for a while. The first urban green burial site in Canada, Royal Oak Burial Park in Victoria, opened in 2008. A decade ago, it was considered controversial giving peanuts to children to prevent them from developing a peanut allergy. Now, new research shows the change has made a big difference in the real world.
When an allergen is introduced to the immune system via the skin, a breakdown in the skin barrier, that can be a real risk factor for development of allergy. And so that was actually one of the early observations that led to the seminal work in 2015 known as the LEAP study, which showed that if we actually introduce that allergen to children by mouth, having them eat it, before they're introduced to it via their skin, we can reduce the risk that child's going to go on to develop the food allergy itself. Several hundred children, they were randomized to either early peanut introduction or normal peanut introduction. And what the authors found is that the rate of peanut allergy was significantly lower. The long-term data suggests up to 70% lower in the children that had the early peanut introduction. You know, hindsight's 2020. It would have been nice to recognize this earlier and implement it even faster. At the same time, this is probably the biggest public health success in allergy in the modern era, I would say. You know, what our data shows is that because of, or at least associated with those early introduction guidelines, there's about 60,000 less kids with food allergy today than there would have been.
A new Bank of Canada survey shows confidence across the country is weak, mainly because of U.S. trade uncertainty. Its quarterly business outlook survey shows tariffs and lingering questions about the trade dispute are holding many firms back from investing in their operations and expanding payrolls. Most exporters report their goods are still entering the United States tariff-free, but businesses in the steel and aluminum industries doubt that overseas markets can offset the hit from higher duties in the American market. The Amazon cloud computing outage appears to be largely resolved. Earlier today, for 3 hours, there was a widespread disruption on a global scale because of a problem related to the domain name system of Amazon Web Services. Here's Kelvin Chan from the Associated Press with more.
Internet users around the world trying to access a range of different online services experienced major disruptions on Monday. Social media sites like Snapchat, online video game services like Fortnite and Roblox, the McDonald's app, cryptocurrency platform Coinbase, and messaging app Signal were among the many online services that went down. That's because there was a major outage at an Amazon Web Services data center on the east coast of the US. Now, Amazon Web Services, or AWS, provides the back-end computing infrastructure for a range of companies that provide online services. And experts say that just shows how the online world is so dependent on only a handful of these online infrastructure companies to provide their services. Now, Amazon Services said a bit later that they were seeing recovery and that they were working on a full resolution.
Amazon's own services were not immune, with the company's Ring doorbell cameras and Alexa-powered smart speakers also being affected. The federal government's planned reform to Canada Post have raised questions over the company's future. Some experts say the mail carrier could survive as a parcel delivery service only as Canadians grow less dependent on physical mail. But they say Canada Post could also take lessons from its international peers, such as the United States Postal Service, which has offloaded logistics and sorting to private partners while focusing on the last mile of delivery. Meanwhile, the privatization of the UK's Royal Mail over a decade ago has helped it develop as an e-commerce solutions business reliant on upgraded technologies. Now here is a look at today's markets.
The TSX was up 307 to 30,416. The Dow was up 515 to 46,706. The S&P 500 was up 71 to 6,735, and the Nasdaq was up 310 to 22,990. West Texas Intermediate oil was down 24 cents to 57.40 US per barrel. Natural gas was up 42 cents to 3.42 US. Gold was up 105.54 to 43.5569 US an ounce, and silver was up 32 cents to 52.26 US an ounce. Feed wheat is at $6.99 per bushel, barley is at $5.55, canola is at $14.01, and corn is at $7.29 per bushel. Live cattle were up 160 to 241.85. Feeder cattle were up 1 to 372.95, and lean hogs December contract was down 30 cents to 82.07. And the Canadian dollar was up slightly over the past 24 hours and currently sits at 71.30 US.
Recapping one of our top stories, the vast majority of Albertans' rural and urban local governments are holding council elections today. That includes 19 municipalities with city status, 105 towns, 78 villages, and 63 municipal districts and counties. 61 school board elections are also taking place, and the results could take a while due to changes made by the provincial government last year. All ballots will be counted by hand instead of electronic tabulators. Hamas is refusing to disarm and has violated the ceasefire with multiple attacks against Israeli forces. Meanwhile, the U.S. is urging Ukraine and Russia to take some sort of steps towards peace. A lot going on and much to discuss with Editor-in-Chief of the Foreign Desk, Lisa Daftari, so don't go anywhere. That and more is coming up next. Also, when you see news happening in your community, be sure to send us an email at info@bridgecitynews.ca. You can also visit our website or YouTube channel anytime to check out more of our stories and interviews.